Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff,
All the tangents.
some politics, booze,
Some more politics.
stuff about Kansas, and lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching. Hi. Welcome to Friendly Argument. I'm Jeremy Jones. This is J. Andrew Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
You can introduce
I
yourself.
can introduce myself. So I'm going to say, hey, welcome to Friendly Argument. This is J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Nice.
That's right.
Friends before, friends during,
Friends after. Scotch
So-
is so much better with a little bit of ice.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the
Question mark.
election question mark season, so we're trying to take advantage of that and being good and smart about it. So I listen to the New York Times, the Daily podcast, almost daily, I think basically daily. And on Friday, November 13th, they had an episode that I thought would be interesting to get a reaction from the two of us, particularly J. Andrew. It was called The Non-Transfer of Power. It's an interview with Maggie Haberman, the White House correspondent for the New York Times, and just her take on the current non-transfer of power that we have with President Trump and President-elect with the question
with
mark,
question mark
inflection.
Oh, I think it'd be safe to say presumed president-elect.
Presumptive President-elect Joe Biden. All right. So unless you had something you wanted to, we can just dive
I think
right
I
in.
think we probably. Well, I mean, I guess the only update between this week and last week is
quick update
is that Trump has hired a couple of very powerful, a couple of lawyers have dropped out under pressure, or legal teams have dropped out under pressure. But Trump has also hired a pretty serious lawyer, who today
Is that Bop? Bop?
I don't remember exactly the name of him, but Sidney Powell is the main leading one. I guess she was the one who defended Michael Flynn, or General Flint.
General Michael Flynn.
Yeah. Okay. So fairly serious lawyer stated that there was a fire hose of evidence. So we will see.
Because the update I thought you were going to make was the dropping of the Wisconsin and Pennsylvania case.
Well, it wasn't the full cases. It was just aspects of the case.
Oh, it was
that
just
got
aspects.
dropped.
Okay.
It was. I think there was, from what I'm hearing from kind of conservative-ish lawyers who are not necessarily involved with the case, but are just making legal, not claims, I guess, but legal analysis, is that a lot of this is time-buying tactics while they gather evidence for their actual cases.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
No, I'm interested to hear your take, and I almost want to move this a little closer to you so you can stop it when you want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
react
seems
to
good.
it. So it's just space bars.
Yeah. So I guess that's the only real update is if there's been some pretty serious allegations made, which are going to need pretty serious amounts of evidence.
Which
in order to,
we haven't seen a ton of the evidence yet.
We haven't seen it yet, and the only reason I'm not completely skeptical of it, because again we're living in the weirdest timeline, is if you are the prosecution, you don't necessarily, and you're trying to basically get all of the evidence before to make your case. You don't want people, if you haven't gathered all the evidence yet, you don't want to tip your hand. So I think they've got maybe 10 days before they really need to show us what they've got. Honestly, 3 days. By the end of the week, if they haven't been here's all of our stuff, and if it's not a huge absolute bombshell, a pretty rock solid bombshell, then it's kind of gonna be I think most, even as long as you're not a diehard Trumper, it's gonna be all right. Let's just move this thing along.
Okay. We're going to move this thing along right into a reaction to the non-transfer power. Andrew groaning a lot at Maggie Haberman, which is, it's one of our favorite things here.
It is.
So the friendly argument reaction to the non-transfer of power.
Yep.
Maggie Haberman on why the traditional transfer of power is not happening this year and the implications of that delay. It's Friday,
I already hate this guy's like inflection. It doesn't matter. It's petty. I hate his inflection.
No, okay, yeah.
Like just talk, man. Don't take a breath every 3 seconds. All right.
And this is at 1.2 speed.
Oh gosh.
It's an NPR thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a
NPR.
radio thing, and I get that, but it's just so pretentious. All right, I'm done being petty.
Yeah.
November 13th.
I don't believe that.
No, you're not. You shouldn't.
Maggie, what usually happens when someone has been declared the winner of a presidential election in the United States?
So, Michael, normally what happens is the media, various outlets make calls on election night or shortly after, declaring a winner.
My congratulations to Senator Kennedy for his fine race in this campaign.
The person who has lost concedes.
I have lost. Mr. Nixon has won. The democratic process has worked its will. So now let's get on with the urgent task of uniting our country.
There is usually a phone call between the two.
A little while ago, I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him, on being elected the next president of the country that we both love.
And then that concession allows the formal transfer of power to begin.
I want the country to know that our entire administration will work closely with his team to ensure the smooth transition of power. There is important work to be done, and America must always come first. So we will get behind this new president and wish him well.
Okay, thus far, I agree that is the normal practice. We'll see. I want to see why she's gonna. Before I comment too much, I want to see why she's gonna say like what she thinks is the reason why it's different this time, and start.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
But thus
I think
far,
we can stop
yes.
that countdown because we do have this timer.
I'll keep
Oh,
it going though.
oh, okay.
That way we're pausing every 15 minutes.
Oh.
It's easier to cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
15. Check. Let's hit it.
Within days, there is often a formal meeting between the outgoing president and the incoming president.
Last night I sent an invitation to the president-elect and Mrs. Obama to come to the White House.
These kinds of meetings have happened even after the hardest fought contests.
It'll be a stirring sight to watch President Obama, his wife Michelle, and their beautiful girls step through the doors of the White House.
In 2008, when
Which was the most hilarious one to watch when Trump did this, or Obama invited Trump to the White House to watch, just the sheer, I'm not happy about this, was very entertaining to those of us who did not particularly care for President Barack Obama as a president.
Yeah, I thought there was definitely something in his eye. To me, it was more like, "Hey, buddy, you thought this is just a cakewalk. I'm about to drop all of your work on you."
Barack Obama, and God know what Barack Obama was actually thinking.
Yes,
But
yeah, we like to speculate.
yeah,
President Obama running against George W. Bush's record, Bush still invited Obama in when he won.
I told the president-elect he can count on complete cooperation from my administration as he makes the transition to the White House.
I had a chance to talk to President-elect Trump last night
In 2016,
to congratulate him on winning the election, and I had a chance to invite him to come to the White House tomorrow.
after Donald Trump questioned whether President Obama was a legitimate president by creating a lie about his birthplace,
We are now all rooting for his success in uniting and leading the country.
President Obama still sat with him for a 90-minute meeting in the Oval Office to demonstrate this continuity of government.
Now, it is no secret that the President-elect and I have some pretty significant differences. But remember, 8 years ago, President Bush and I had some pretty significant differences. But President Bush's team could not have been more professional or more gracious in making sure we had a smooth transition so that we could hit the ground running.
I say to President-elect Bush that what remains of partisan rancor must now be put aside, and may God bless his stewardship of this country.
Even in elections where there have been bigger court fights,
Neither he nor I anticipated this long and difficult road. Certainly neither of us wanted it to happen.
like the 2000 recount election between Al Gore and George W. Bush.
Yet it came, and now it is ended. Resolved as it must be resolved through the honored institutions of our democracy.
You had Al Gore accept the results, even though Democrats were incredibly upset about them. And this acceptance of the result is a hugely important signal to voters that people should have faith in the process, and that democratic norms are being respected.
So, Maggie, these are the rituals around the transfer of power meant for public consumption. What usually happens behind the scenes during this time period?
You're not supposed to be writing. You're supposed to be here's
the reason. It's I want her to make her full argument before I make a reaction to it.
Oh, okay.
So it's so like
I get
they're
that.
they're building the basis, but I guess that's not good. That's not good podcast.
That's not good.
So
the bites.
The bites. So the bites. The point you brought up now, and I'll be curious to see how she brings it back up later, is that Gore still conceded the election to Bush. However, the big caveat I would put in there is the media called it for Gore night of, and it wasn't until 37 days later, after Trump both. I believe the initial lawsuit started with Bush, and then, it came in later. Like there was a recount in Florida because it was so close,
right.
And it flipped, and that's when Gore started suing for specific counties to do a recount. So there is actually, and I don't know if she'll get to this or not. I suspect not, but there is a precedent for this. So a lot of this tension right now is the media saying, "Hey, we called this thing," and particularly conservatives being like, okay, cool, but you don't have any, there's no legal basis for you, what you say doesn't actually matter.
So you're drawing parallels between the 2000,
the 2000
and that was
the 2020, yeah,
hundreds of votes in one state,
yes,
and this is thousands of votes across.
Yeah. But so yes, so I think we've talked about this. I don't think you think it's possible, and I think it's very unlikely that there will be a reversal of the election unless there is a massive amount of proof that there was a massive amount of basically of election rigging. I don't see it happening. I know Republicans who are fairly highly placed, or at least have access to highly placed people who are yeah, this might be a thing. I don't know.
Okay.
Until other things come out, I just simply don't know. Is that a firework?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna let it blow right by, but okay. It's festive. I didn't see any light.
I've seen some light over there.
Oh, okay. So maybe it was.
I'm just going to assume firework because no one in the other building is panicking.
We do have 2 champions in Los Angeles currently, so that's nice.
But I don't know that is there a reason to celebrate that tonight?
Yeah, always.
Okay,
it could happen anytime. Right.
So anyway, so that was my first point, is that I think that this election is more closely mirroring the 2000 election, and so Trump not conceding yet it's a nothing burger. There's not a there, other than it makes the media mad because the media's called it, and normally most of our elections are so clear-cut cases where it's we could sue in a couple places, but it's not going to matter. Whereas there's enough places and there's enough stuff, enough tough stuff that isn't necessarily passing the smell test.
That we haven't seen evidence.
We haven't seen evidence,
okay.
But the smell test, it's not passing the smell test. Last episode we talked about, I made the point if there was the 2 graphs of how votes were going and how Biden had a straight line, a vertical line in vote counts.
Yeah.
And there's stuff like that in a couple of these key states. And so probably nothing, but if Biden wants to have an election where there's half the country is not saying it's an illegitimate presidency,
right? We
at least need to go through these legal processes.
Even with so even with the head of elections, federal head of elections, most secure election. I think he said in history or in our time or some I don't remember the exact quote.
I wouldn't necessarily trust that, but
because
he's the person who his job is to make sure elections are secure. But there's a fair amount of evidence, or at least there's fair enough amount of stuff where there's hey, there's some shenanigans that went on. So you'll forgive me if I don't necessarily trust the person whose job it is to make sure things are secure, saying things are secure.
Okay.
When particularly when there was 6,000 votes that were just a flip of a switch. If
the situation was reversed, would it seem like it was more so the power of suggestion that Biden just said, "Hey guys, this is going to be a rigged election," and then lo and behold, everybody that likes Biden thinks it's a rigged election.
Yeah, well,
even with no evidence,
every election, the side that loses thinks it's a rigged election.
But specifically have said it. Trump said it before in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
He said it before this time now, and now lo and behold,
I think that maybe you're being uncharitable here, in that there's.
Well, I was trying to like if it was like, would you think that if Biden was saying?
I think if Biden was saying that, I would like to think that I would be like, hey, go through the court process, man. Do the lawsuits. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You got to show the evidence.
Yeah.
I would want to think that I would be charitable here, and I think the problem is currently maybe in our zeitgeist is there's not that assumption of charity. Oh, 15 minutes.
Assuming goodwill.
Yeah. Cool. Stop beeping at me. There's not that assumption of goodwill coming from the winning side. So it's kind of like there's enough people who I think are serious people who are saying, hey, this doesn't smell right. There's enough stuff here that doesn't smell right. So
we're
going through the
off their vouch.
Well, I mean, off their vouch and off of the stuff that I'm seeing, because
What are you seeing?
Let's pause it.
Yeah. But it's going to be in the listening of it, or the hearing of it, or the reading of it.
I'm just saying I'm saying that there's enough. I've seen enough stuff where it's at least questionable.
What and what's the that's the you say that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use the word evidence, and both of us are in agreement that we haven't seen any evidence,
mm-hmm.
but there's stuff is the word that you're using. And I'm like, what?
Well, no.
Is there something there?
No. I don't. I think going back to your statement, I don't think that I've not said there that there's not a there. I'm saying it's going to be very hard to prove there's a there.
Sure. Yes.
And I'm just saying. So, and I guess the quick way of saying the quick way of saying things aren't passing the smell test is the example I gave you the other day where the Michigan is going to red. They shut things down from between 4 o'clock and 5:30. All of a sudden, there's a vertical line in Trump stuff, and there's stuff like that in Wisconsin. There's stuff like that in Pennsylvania. There's stuff like that in Georgia. There's stuff like that in North Carolina. There's stuff like that in Nevada. There's stuff like that in Arizona. There's probably stuff like that in most of the states, and so it's
the count of the mail-in votes.
Yeah, so but even the mail-in votes are not going to be 100% Biden.
I don't know if they are all 100% Biden, but they were strongly Biden.
Yes, but Jeremy, what I'm saying is, I can't in good faith think that you actually believe that a vertical line worth of votes is a real thing. That's amazing to me.
So it's certainly not enough. A vertical line of votes being brought in doesn't, on its face, make me question an election in that state, in the country, it's what it looks like to me is exactly like they count votes. They count the day of folks. Some states allow their folks to go home. Georgia, to your chagrin,
Wisconsin,
going home. Yeah, they go home, and then okay, that's the in-person voting, and then okay, it's usually a scantron, mail-in votes. Oh wow. The guy who didn't actively campaign against mail-in voting he has more mail-in votes for him than the guy that
100% of the mail-in votes.
I haven't seen those numbers, and no one else is saying them. No, they're not in the court cases. They're not in. There hasn't been any evidence. If there is that I've seen, mm-hmm. I have seen zero evidence. And baseless is the word that I've heard
from media sources that have been attacking this particular president from before day one.
Yeah, and I think that there's legitimacy in those attacks because I don't think he's a terribly fit president. I don't think he's fit to be president, and that's not even a knock because 99% of people are not fit to be president. It's just most people. It is a tough job and it is hard to do, and And
But Barack Obama was.
I mean, I really think so.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I think this is a
he was capable of governance. He had a Senate. He had been in the Senate.
a term as a senator, not
Yeah.
even a full term as a senator.
Yeah, yeah.
What did he govern before he became a senator?
I saw he was capable. We had his presidency. We're in 2020 now. You can see he was capable of governance.
I mean, the fact that race relations are worse now than they were before, the economy was the slowest recovery that we've seen in modern history.
He had to take over GM.
He didn't have to take over GM. In fact, he shouldn't have taken over GM.
Well, you disagree with what Obama did.
Yeah.
This is not news. A lot of people really,
Half the country really liked him, and the other half really didn't. But you don't see the same amount of attacks. I mean,
but yeah, I don't think it's the popularity contest is not attached to the attacks. I think it's the legitimacy of what you're putting out there, what you're saying and doing.
If you have news sources that are only attacking one side, is that still an unbiased news source?
I think that it is about
in the New York Times or Washington Post, can you find me a single Trump supporter who
I would have to look at it. In my political science department in college, yes, there was absolutely Republicans and Democrats.
Fair.
No Trump supporters.
But we're not talking about your political science.
Yeah, I live in LA. I don't live in Washington. I don't live in New York. I don't know if they do. But if they're good journalists, I don't think there's always going to be bias. There's always going to be imperfection.
Granted.
But if you're doing the hard job of journalism, I think that you are going to go after the things that are weaker, and you're going to push back on the things that are stronger. And oh yeah, that stands up. That's the job of the fourth estate. And I think Trump, what he says and doesn't stand up as well. It's not to say everything the guy does is terrible. It's not to say he's a bad dude. A lot of people agree with him. The evidence that he presents for things and the things that the type of arguments that he would make from a logic and critical thinking standpoint weren't always the strongest, in my view.
I mean, I can agree with you as far as Trump himself is concerned, but the people around him tend to make better arguments for him. But that's not actually where I want to go with this conversation, because I think what we're currently having is, I think, a small part of the meta conversation that's going on in the country right now, or at least from the conservative view. Because I think that there is a lot of feeling on the conservative side, and because I'm feeling it myself right now, just between the two of us, where it's I'm trying to tell you, hey, this has been a thing for decades, and you don't believe me when I tell you this. And so
the number one news, Fox News, totally conservative. It is.
But percentage of viewer-wise, all of the other outlets outweigh Fox News.
It's
MSNBC,
number one.
MSNBC,
it's the number one for over a decade.
CNN, yeah, but I mean, if half the country only has one choice on where to go, of course it's going to be the number one place.
Right, and
you're seeing viewership leave Fox News.
Well, yeah, they got really mad after the Arizona thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it might be a situation where people just want their beliefs to be confirmed as opposed to be informed. And I forget the name of the guy who started Fox News, but people don't want to be informed; they want to feel informed. And I think that's a really dangerous statement to start a news organization with.
And I agree with you on that. And I would still posit, again, as the zeitgeist here, most of the serious conservatives and politicals that I know in the Republican Party don't really pay attention to Fox News. It's usually your grandpa who doesn't really matter is the one who's watching Fox News 24/7. So again, and
are these elected officials? Are these?
Yeah, I would argue. I haven't really ever heard Ben Sass or Ted Cruz or any of them.
Because Trump likes Fox News.
Trump does like Fox News.
I've heard a lot.
Yes, Trump does like Fox News. But again, this is another touch point where I don't think most conservatives really give a dang about what Trump says so much as what he does, because
Is that a dangerous thing?
no,
It's not
because in the same way that we didn't, to a certain extent, we didn't really care what Obama said, we cared what he did, because in the conservative mind, the president isn't king, he's the first plumber. Like his job, he has a job to serve us, to serve our will. So like we don't really give a damn what you say, we give a damn what you do.
Sure.
And Trump's done a lot of things that conservatives have wanted done.
Sure. I think that the position of president is we should hold that in a high enough esteem to where my words matter, your words matter. I think all of those things should matter in addition to what you do. And yeah, follow the actions over the words for sure, but words turn into actions.
Yeah, but words don't have power without the action following them up. So, and maybe this is a better way of looking at it. Most conservatives don't consider Trump a serious person, so they don't take what he says seriously.
There are people that do take what he says seriously.
There are some people.
And they do.
There are some people.
So
but I mean,
maybe if the president was more careful with his words, whoever occupies that office, it would be better for him to be careful with his words, because just being the president means something to some people.
Great.
And the words of the president mean something to some people. It would be nice for the words of the president to mean quite a bit to most of the people. And then we have a person that we want that.
Yeah, I fundamentally disagree with the last part of that sentence. That the words of the president matter to most people.
Oh, I said it should. I would hope that
Yeah, that's what I disagree with.
You don't think the words should.
It's the first plumber. I don't care what he says. I care what he does.
Would you have said that before Trump? Because it's just very convenient. It's so convenient.
It's what I thought about Obama. Like, I didn't really care what he said, because what he said was really nice and flowery, and it was very charismatic. But it's like what he did that bothered me.
Sure.
I didn't mind. Like, he's very nice to listen to. But what he did, I hated.
Right.
But I think we're tangenting here. My point I don't think I think at least the conservative feeling.
Yeah.
And perspective is that the left side of the aisle isn't listening. Isn't hearing hey, you guys have all the cultural stuff. Hey, we're maybe not the people in power so much, but the electorate are getting more and more tired of being browbeaten because we think differently, because we have a different set of values.
Right, and I think I do hear that, and I've been thinking about that because you bring up the culture and the cultural wars sort of thing frequently, and I think about like that's sort of what was given to sort of from the people in power, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant men that occupy the driver's seat of our country and have thus far. They allowed I'm trying to think of the movie or where it came from, but like the blacks have their music, quote unquote. You know what I mean? They allow, like, okay, you can have the culture, we don't care. We got the drivers, we got the steering wheel, so you can have those sorts of things. Pete Seeger was one of the original folk singers. He was a communist and was said as much. And there was the whole McCarthyism, and he wasn't able to work, he wasn't able to perform, wasn't able to sing, wasn't able to play guitar. The only place that they started to allow it was little kid events and at schools and things. And so that's what he did. That's where they sort of pushed him. And then this folk the 1960s with Bob Dylan and all that sort of sprung up from the Pete Seeger thing. So I think, to me, good ideas find a way, and I don't think that it's you can try and push them around, but they're going to find a way if it's a good idea. And if these lawsuits are legit, I think they're going to find a way. I I have seen zero evidence to a lot of baseless thrown around. And if there is something there and Biden pulled like some sort of, you know, thing, I don't want that in my president. But I haven't seen anything other than a power of suggestion, and what seems to be the power of suggestion, rigged. Now people are saying, oh, that looks kind of rigged. And a guy that just super self-interested and kind of a sore loser. That's the vibe of it right now, unless there's something there. And there's you know, some conspiracy theory side of things of why he is saying, you know,
the 4D chess, underwater chess, or 4D, what is the full phrase? The 4D upside down underwater chess aspect.
what?
Oh, have you never heard this?
No, what is this craziness?
It's a joke among conservative, like, so there's a branch of
Like cocaine Mitch?
Yeah.
I love
but cocaine Mitch is a great joke.
That's
So there's a branch of, like, so in conservatism, there's like the people, or maybe I should say the right side of the aisle. There's like the super Trumpers, right?
Okay.
And they're like usually most people are kind of like, I like Trump, but I'm not going to be like, you know, ride or die on it.
Yeah. These are the ride or dies.
These are the ride or die. And they're always like, nah, Trump's got it figured out, man. Like, he's gonna, like, just wait. He's playing
crazy like a fox.
Yeah. And so like, the exaggeration there is that Trump's playing, well, it's 4D chess, is I believe what they say. Because 4D chess is really, 3D chess, I don't know if there's actually a 4D chess, but the joke is there.
Yeah.
And so because humor is exaggeration.
Yes.
The rest of the right, there's like, yeah, Trump's playing 4D upside down underwater chess. It's like how much more like hard can we make this stupid thing that you think he's doing? So no, I don't think Trump is playing 4D chess. I think there's probably some people who have convinced him to maybe shut up a little bit while they get the stuff done.
Yeah.
Like I think in the last like month or two of the election, or not election, campaign. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he got a little more disciplined. Like his last debate was
the best Trump. Yeah. The best of Trump.
Yeah, and Trump on prompter is like,
oh yeah,
it's gold.
It's rock solid.
Yeah, but
I don't always agree with it, but the presentation is not so offensive.
But anyway, back to your point, your previous point about like the white men being in charge.
Sure.
So I think that this meta thought comes from critical theory, particularly critical race theory.
Okay.
And that line of thinking tends to divide everything down into group power dynamics. So I don't think that is I think that there is that is a thing that contributes to things, but I don't think that it's the majority contribution.
That could be.
And so I think, like, at least from the way I see it, being a straight white guy, is that we have ideas that we haven't lived up to because of time and culture. But we have gotten steadily more towards being that. Like, we've steadily moved towards, like, here's our ideals, and we're getting closer and closer to it. See suffrage, see the civil rights movement, see, like, our immigration laws have, like, opened up from pretty much Europe to most everyone can come in, unless you're from, like, a country where it's like, your founding ideology may not completely sync with ours. So
yeah,
I had a further point.
No, not all. You know, not all. Being a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, straight male, cis person doesn't make you a bad person. But I don't. We're in the driver's seat. Like
we're in the driver's seat, but we're in the driver's seat because we were like, it was the people. It wasn't this idea that it was founded by us for us. I don't think is true. I think it was founded by us, but it was for everyone. Like, even within the argument, like in the founding documents, there was a lot of argument over over slavery.
Yeah.
And the 3/5 rule was just so it's like, oh hey, you have all of these slaves here. They can't count as people, because then you'll always have way too many people in the House of Representatives, and we'll never be able to like force you to get rid of slavery.
Yeah, I think it was and I think this is pretty good. By us, for sure.
Mm-hmm. There's no question there.
For everyone in thought and word, action and deed,
mm-hmm.
there's a little disconnect there, and we are trying to get there. But do you think so the left, we call that progress, or the progressive,
mm-hmm.
moving towards that, from that thought
mm-hmm.
and word to the action and deed
mm-hmm.
of the by us for everyone, sort of to use that. Do you? But you don't see that, like, we would call that progress. I feel like you wouldn't call that progress.
I would argue that I mean, yes, I would call that progress, but I would also argue that it wasn't, at least the Democratic side of the aisle, that actually was the foundation behind those movements.
Those movements,
particularly when I said like suffrage and civil rights,
mm-hmm.
or at least let's say suffrage and abolition.
Okay.
Like those were conservative Christian Republican ideas. The Republican Party was founded on suffrage and abolition.
Right. And that's
it was on the idea of, this is what we are as a country, we need to move towards that.
Has anything changed since then for the Republican Party?
I mean, we've become an entrenched, empowered institution, so I mean, there's going to be let me see if I can remember the phrase. The first generation of any movement the basic idea of the phrase, and I'm forgetting it now, is the first generation of any movement is good. Like its whole, usually pure as the dirt and snow, it has an ideology it's moving towards.
Yeah.
The second generation makes it a business. The third generation makes it a grift.
In finance, I've heard that innovators, the imitators, and the idiots.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think the Chinese call it shirt sleeves of the shirt sleeves. So like one generation makes all the money, the second generation tries to, make it bigger, and then the third generation just spends it because they have no values. So,
my point is I'm not going to say that the Republican Party is clean as the driven snow, because it's an entrenched political institution now. But I would say that the general thrust and feeling of the grassroots, even if they can't necessarily verbalize it, that's the idea that republicanism is striving for, or the Republicans are striving for. And so the issue, I'll let you make your point. But so the issue, the issue that then becomes the problem with progressives is, it's like, okay, well, we've moved towards this thing, but now you're bleeding into things where it's like, okay, these are our inalienable rights, and if we want to progress in this direction, closed hand stuff.
Yes,
it's more of the open hand stuff are now seeping into closed hand into the detriment of the closed hand stuff, and that's why it's like, hey, no, we can't do that. I think I've mentioned on the podcast the idea that a conservative and a liberal come across a fence, right, in the middle of a field, and the liberal, it's like, well, why is this fence here? Let's just get rid of it. And the conservative is like, well, let's figure out what the fence is first, and before we get rid of it.
I do see that. I do follow that analogy, and I definitely do see that in some of the more progressive things that are being put forth. AOC stuff. I listened to another daily podcast where they interviewed AOC, and I don't.
She's crazy.
Well, I don't think she's...
No. She's an ideologue.
She's an ideologue, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it. Like, I think I get it. I know, like, she sees the track, like, oh, boom, run to that, cool, like right there. It's not just the activists. You know what I mean? Like, that's where a ton of energy comes from, and that energy is awesome. A lot of the time, it also is the energy that loots, and it's also the energy that beats up people sometimes.
A lot
and
of
like
times.
and that's not good. Like if you I mean, there's a lot of great examples of protests, movements in the past that if you want the moral high ground, bro, you got to earn it. You know what I mean? And so you gotta be spot on. You can't allow. I get it. People get mad, and these are things to get mad over that they want to fight against, but we have to come back as a team, and we're all gonna. You can move as fast as the slowest person when you're on vacation. Like that's kind of where we're at. Like everybody wants to go see the Eiffel Tower, but you gotta make sure that everybody is on the bus first. And so I think it's a, and this is part of what I think we're doing here, is we're trying to figure out a better way forward, particularly in how we phrase things. And it's so, one of the things that has come out of me doing this is there's so much more thought going on in the right than comes through Fox News.
Yeah.
That comes through like the major, conservative news outlets. It's just so like sensational, and it's I'm glad I'm doing it, and I wish more people did it. But it's a bummer they don't.
For our listening audience, because I think we need to check the time.
Oh my God, yeah, we might.
I would recommend, instead of, if you are interested in seeing the perspective from like a good, thoughtful perspective from the right, or at least finding ways to find out people, I would recommend, if you can stand his kind of being a slightly smug debate kid, Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire. Andrew Klavan's a little more palatable.
Read them.
Read them. That might be better.
Get them on the page. That's where I start
them.
with people, and then I hear them. I'm like, what are you saying?
So them, Prager University, Dave Rubin. Well, pretty much most of the people at the Blaze. So yeah, let's see if we can't get through a bit more of this without getting too terribly sidetracked.
No, but I think that was a worthwhile.
Well, we disagreed pretty hard, which will make
We should
make
our
the
audience so happy.
Yep.
All for you guys. All for you guys. Two accommodating personalities disagreeing.
Yep.
So hard for us.
Yep.
It's difficult, but we do it for you. Okay, back into the friendly argument reaction to the daily podcast, A Non-Transfer of Power.
The administrator of the General Services Administration of the federal government puts forward what's called an ascertainment, and that means they have ascertained who the next president will be, who the president-elect is, and that puts in place a pot of money being available to the incoming administration, and allows agencies to begin the process of the transfer of power. Briefing books, meetings, so-called landing teams or beachhead teams, as they are often called for the incoming administration, meeting with agency officials to talk about what work needs to be done, how they want to handle the transfer of power. In the case of Joe Biden, there are a lot of people who have been in government before, which always helps, but they still need to figure out where things stand on a whole range of issues going forward.
And what has been happening this year in the now 6 days since Joe Biden was declared the president-elect?
So basically, Michael, everything that I just described is what.
So again, declared by people who don't actually have the power to legally declare that he is that.
Which is how it's usually done.
It's how it's been done in more clear-cut elections. This was arguably the most fraught and contentious election in modern U.S. history. So it's like, I get why it's being done. I get there's a reasonable argument for why it's being done, but at the same point, I don't see that there's much of a leg to stand on in this until the electors vote. Like, no, Donald Trump, like in all likelihood at this point in time, will probably leave office, but he doesn't have to concede until the Electoral College has voted.
Is there an advantage to him conceding? This can be a rhetorical question at the moment, but is there advantages to having that speedy transfer of power?
Yes, and I would say normally there is.
Okay.
In this case, again, because there's a roughly half the country, there's a lot of things not passing the smell test. Like, if it was one or two things, then it's like, okay, guys, shut up, let's move on with this. But particularly because, at least the conservative sphere, there's enough stuff that's coming in that may be getting called blameless in liberal sphere. What's the?
We don't have it. I was actually going to ask you, like, you guys have a thing called the conservosphere?
I mean, I don't know how popular of a phrase it is, but I believe that there is a phrase that is the conservosphere, and I'm going to say the liberal sphere.
I love it.
Yeah. So in conservative land, there's a lot of stuff that's been called baseless in liberal land.
That
A
lot of stuff being called
accurate.
baseless. I just thought that was
Anyway.
the world. But
So I think, I mean, we may not get through all this, but I think at the end of the day, my main reaction to this is going to be, I get where you're coming from, but you can just hold your horses for a second until, like, we do the process, and then then the conservatives don't have a leg to stand on. But until the process is done, like, just get over it.
is there a strategic, and these are rhetorical,
Mm-hmm.
is there a strategic advantage to that quick, peaceful transfer of power? And do you think that it's really going to matter to the people in the conservative? I mean, there's quotes of people saying they'll never convince me that Trump didn't win.
It's going to matter to enough people. It's going to matter to the people who are, I don't want to say serious, but at least stop to think.
And they will then be supportive of Biden's presidency.
Oh, good Lord, no. But I mean, hold on. But look at how you phrase that question.
Mm-hmm.
You said supportive of Biden's presidency. There's a difference between being supporting the president, particularly like in the way he's governing, and saying that he is a legitimate president.
So sorry, yes. Fair.
So,
Legitimate.
I never supported very few of what Obama did. I supported.
But it was legitimate.
But at the same time, it was like, he is still my president.
Okay.
Like if I were to meet him, I would still probably put on a suit.
Of course.
Unless that was my shtick that I'm going to show up as is to anything, then in which case, yeah.
Which we love.
Yeah.
Which we love.
Which, to be honest, if I ever get to the point where
This is true.
I have enough,
This is
I have
not-
enough money
yeah.
that I don't have to care, then I would probably start showing up to everything and print just out of principle, being like, "You're the first plumber. You work for me.
Yeah.
And everybody else, I don't care. You have to wear a suit because you have to impress me. I don't have to impress you.
Totally.
You can probably make my life a living hell. I get that, but I'm still going to treat you like the first plumber."
I get that, and you know what? I would have said the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have gone in this to Trump or any of them. But I went to the Smithsonian a
Mm-hmm.
couple years back, and it got me.
Mm-hmm.
The American, all the amazing battle stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
all the. It reminded me back how I was back in college. True believer, absolute
Mm-hmm.
true believer in America, and just that came back when I was at so the idea now of meeting the president.
Mm-hmm.
At my Sunday best wouldn't be good enough. Go out for something really
Yeah, and I wonder if part of this is it's a worldview difference to a certain extent. So because being a Christian versus being I believe you consider yourself a Buddhist, right?
Sure, out of everything, sure.
Out of everything, sure. Okay, insert something here.
I believe in everything. I believe in everything.
You're an IST. You're an ISH. You're an ish. Yeah.
I'm Buddhist.
You're Buddhist. So again, being a Christian, it's if I have access as a child of God to the being that is literally holding all of existence together as a 3-year-old would to their father, I'm not going to be overly impressed by the current president of the United States.
Yeah.
In comparison. And if I'm being a good Christian, what I'm usually meditating and thinking on is my heavenly Father. And so it's just to a certain point, I'll put on the suit if it's one of those I need you to know that I'm respecting you sort of things.
Yeah.
But if it was just a general, you called me in, Laura would probably stop me, but I would be sorely tempted to show up in literally what I'm wearing right now.
I think what you should wear is the suit that Laura would make you wear, but still wear your hat.
I'd wear a hat.
that-
I'd wear a hat and then I'd wear a t-shirt with nothing on it. like not like a printed
Print t-shirt. Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, a nice t-shirt. And no, I couldn't wear jeans. I couldn't show up as producer Andrew.
No, that's
Yeah.
too much. Okay,
All right, let's
go
try to
back
get
in.
through some of this.
I almost want to scoot ahead because her opinions are further on.
Yeah.
So we'll start right in the
Well,
middle.
maybe we'll even just do a part 2 next week. Who knows what next week will bring. Let's just go ahead
We talked to
to
our colleague Julie Davis about this earlier this week.
minute
He needs the Republican
1440.
base to be activated. He needs everyone to be on the same page. And having a fight with the President of the United States
Is he
in the
talking
middle of a
to
runoff
Biden
election,
or
runoffs typically attract fewer voters
Trump?
than regular elections.
Georgia.
Just would not be advantageous for him right now. It would also potentially have negative effects.
He's keeping
for
the
other
base
Republican
electrified.
senators in his
Oh, okay.
office.
So
Right.
that
There are
we don't
senators who are
lose
going
the
to be
Senate.
facing challenges of their own in 2022. Crossing the president could open people up to Republican primary challengers. And I think that McConnell would like to help his members avoid that at all costs.
So from what you just said, the Senate Majority Leader looks out across the country and sees a lot of voters who would not forgive the failure to stand with and for President Trump in this moment, even if it's 2 years from now, 2 years after theoretically Donald Trump leaves office.
He's certainly seeing that as a possibility that he wants to avoid.
So one thing that I don't think is getting talked about a lot in the mainstream media is that it's unlikely Trump will go away. At least the sense I'm getting is like everyone's like, oh yeah, we voted him out, he's never coming back. There's nothing stopping him from running in 2024.
Well, so that if we got through this in a timely manner like we did last week, we were so good last week
We
about
were
time,
really
and
good last week, yeah.
we are so terrible this week. But my question, my bonus for us was going to be: will he run, and do you think he should run? Do you think it's good for America? Do you think it's good for the Conservative Party if he does? So we can dive into that and do a part 2 here.
Let's do a part 2 because I want to.
Yeah.
I think maybe it might be better for me to just like at this point. I think I've reacted as much as I'm going to react without repeating myself.
I doubt it.
Okay, well, let's just do a part 2. Because,
We'll do a part 2.
We'll do a part 2, and we'll get a little bit further than.
Yeah,
you find when she starts giving the opinions, and we'll start there.
That's no problem.
Because we probably covered all the stuff that I would have reacted to just naturally.
Yes.
I'm going to assume. From 2024.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be the super great answer is it depends.
Oh,
So like
in true CPA fashion.
true CPA, yes, in true accountant fashion, it depends. So would he want to or not?
Oh, absolutely.
I think he would want to unless he's so busy doing something else that's even more trolly and he's getting too much of a kick out of that. So like there's talks like if he ends up leaving, which is again I will caveat the likely scenario at this point, there's a very good chance that he starts a new Fox News, which
I think is all he wanted in 2016.
potentially, and we'll see if it's closer to hardcore journalistic integrity or if it's like
His Twitter feed.
or if it's Epoch Times. So I think just wargaming it out here. I think what would end up happening is he'd probably end up hiring really good, serious people who would be constantly trying to be like, hey, we're trying to do what you want and have all this journalistic integrity and investigation and blah, blah, blah. We're trying to do what you want. We just need you to really shut up right now.
Yeah, and then he'll fire them,
Potentially.
and then they will go.
I feel like
and-
he's gotten better about getting better people in as he's done it. Like, press secretary wise, like, I think Kayleigh McEnany is probably his best thus far, even if she is a little more Trumpian than like Sarah Huckabee Sanders was. Either way,
Sure.
matter of opinion.
Sure.
So
I don't think he wants it. I think he will absolutely act like he's going to. I think he'll dance around it and do the whole thing and just get the headlines and get the attention and get his word in the way. I mean, it's there's like the child psychologist is, dude, I've seen this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know this guy. Overbearing father, super successful, never lived up to it, never got a word in edgewise with this guy. And rightfully so, because his dad was a friggin', he built an empire.
Mm-hmm.
And that he is just constantly like, just
Mm-hmm.
that kid in the class and just begging for the attention at all times. And I think, I like you talk about the 4D underwater chess, dude, I think that's the beginning and the end of it. The cat just, He loves the attention. He loves the limelight. He loves the money and making more money. But I don't think he'll run again because I don't think he wants.
Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think he wanted it the first time. I think it's a lot of work.
Apparently, he's already put out that if he leaves office, he's immediately announcing his 2024 bid. But that's still 4 years. Let's see what happens. I think if Biden steps down and Kamala Harris steps up, then yeah, Trump probably runs again.
You guys. Biden wants to be president. He's done it 3 times.
He wants to be president. But
you think he's going to die?
I think he's declining. I've seen it. I've seen it with 2 different grandparents now.
Yeah.
He's got. I'm not going to say
2-0 in debates beat Trump.
Well, I'm gonna walk away from that one. I'm gonna walk away from that one.
So 2024. Yeah, I think he wants at least a show, maybe a channel at this point.
He'll get a channel. He'll get his own Trump hour, which will probably make him happy. And if that works out and he's happy, great. I don't know. I guess I think it depends on what happens. Now, will it be good for the conservative movement? So Trump was a reaction to Obama at the end of the day. Trump was a reaction to Obama. I think that there's some good arguments to be made that Trump and Obama are the same person. Trump's just the less polished version.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. You can walk away from that one too.
I've seen as much evidence for that as I've seen for these lawsuits.
Obama just released a 718-page memoir.
Yeah, he's a great writer. Genuinely,
sure,
empirically. They've done reviews of presidential memoirs, and when they talked about Obama's memoir, they're like, this shouldn't, they're usually so bad, the presidential memoirs. They're like, this is actually good. This is literature. This is a book. This is an actual book. So
conservative Andrew's hearing the same thing everyone always says about Obama.
We've had weeks without Obama in the headlines. There's no way he can be the opposite of Trump, or the same person as Trump in the opposite way. It's
an overweening egotist who screams when he gets his way. How much law did Obama pass versus executive orders?
More than Trump.
No. Most of Obama's stuff was executive orders, particularly in his second term, because he couldn't work with Congress.
See Cocaine Mitch. Yeah, it's talk about a nothing burger. When he had the Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, the Fox News line was, this guy's doing too much. He's going too fast. Oh my God, just pushing everything through. Fear, fear, fear. And it's just finally, making that progress from our words to our actions. That's genuinely how I think, as the left zeitgeist, I think that is trying for decades to pass universal health care.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a bunch of monsters.
Yeah.
Monsters.
Yes. Yes.
I know, you're right. Not entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
No, you are, but you're not entitled for other people to pay for your life.
We are paying for it right now but we're paying higher prices because
Medicare and Social Security,
are paying the insurance companies and the doctors, not just the doctors.
Medicare is the thing that sets the prices, right? And so everything is tilted to how can we get the most from Medicare?
Right, by the insurance company.
It's not market value. So this is, again, I'm coming from a medical family.
I work in the medical field.
Cool.
I was in a doctor's office today.
Cool. Most of the problems are from Medicare.
Why does the insurance industry, healthcare insurance industry, fight it so hard? If it's Medicare, why?
Because Medicare sets the prices. Like the
But
amount
that doesn't
you're gonna
explain
pay
why
for it.
the healthcare insurance companies lobby like their life depended on it against universal healthcare. Because that's it. That's it. They're sucking off
They
of
would pay less if Medicare didn't exist.
the United States federal government is at a disadvantage by not having universal healthcare like the other industrialized democracies in the world because they pay more because they have
happier healthcare. They like their healthcare better, but they have
So
objectively worse healthcare.
what they have is the top 1% here has better healthcare. The average person in the United States has worse healthcare than Canada, guaranteed. We have more innovation
Everyone-
because the 1% wants it
Because
and
we
will pay for it.
We pay for it for the world.
But
All
us-
the innovation happens here. 90
Right.
odd percent of it happens here.
Yeah, and only 1% of it here can afford it, and the other 99% are fending for themselves most of the time. My insurance will run out at the end of the year, and I mean I'll
And you'll
have,
be paying for Cobra, I assume.
hopefully not. I'm hopefully I'll have another job that'll has health insurance. Either of the two jobs in play will have that. Anyway, this is too personal. Either way, it could be so much simpler and so much less expensive.
Let's
it could be so much
let's
simpler.
go back 3 conversational tangents.
Okay.
So Obama, Trump are the same
Great
person. Where were we? Oh, Trump running in.
So are
2024.
are Jesus and Satan the same dude? And
No, I'm just this is a conservative is trying to tell a liberal, hey, what you see is not what we see.
right, but
And,
with evidence.
No.
that's the difference. Is like
But I'm telling you, like your evidence is biased. Like you're looking at just a leg and not at the trunk and the ears and the
okay.
and the thing.
Give me something else other than just.
I did. I said he didn't go through Congress. It was all executive orders.
But that was because Mitch was holding up the whole thing.
Okay,
That's
great.
not.
So fight him.
But
get your ideas so that you win more seats.
Well, stay tuned. Stay tuned because
Okay.
we have the House back now, and hopefully we'll have the Senate here. Come on, Georgia.
Republicans did really, really well in the House. We've taken 12 seats.
We still got it.
You still have it.
We still
but
got
it
it.
was supposed to be a sweep. Just
We won. How are you going to try to make like the losers limp?
I'm just saying I don't think that you guys actually won.
No, we didn't do it.
You maintained a majority.
Yeah,
But you are losing that majority.
we got it.
You still
got
got it. You may or may not get a
Scoreboard.
majority in the Senate.
Scoreboard, and we'll see.
Okay.
And we'll see how Georgia
We'll
goes.
see how Georgia goes.
And I think we will be
I think
in
you
the
will
White
be-
House very soon.
Potentially, but I suspect
Probably.
2022 will not go well for you guys. But we'll see what happens. Anywho, is it good? Is Trump running in 2024 good for the conservative movement?
Oh, I thought we answered that question.
I don't think we did.
Oh, okay.
I think I tried to introduce it,
Okay.
and then I said Obama and Trump are the same person.
Yeah, you
And that made you mad.
made some
Some fireworks.
some fairy dust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it depends. I would hope that the conservative movement could do better if people like Ted Cruz, Dan Crenshaw, Ben Sassy, what's the guy's name? Not Devin Nunes. He's bald, he's not from Arkansas, but I always think he's from Arkansas, and he never actually wears his suit jacket into the congressional hearings.
Never wears a suit.
I want to say it's Nunes.
California? Nunes is
No, okay, then no, it's not Nunes. It's he's
House guy?
a
Senate
Senate.
guy?
I'm pretty sure he's a House guy.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think he's on the Judicial and the Intelligence Committees. I'm forgetting his name, but we have other people who I think.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out words.
Not Tulsi Gabbard. Nikki Haley would be another good person. There's other people.
Yeah,
who
that's who you wanted 2024, or you thought would be a like.
I think a Cruz Haley ticket would be very strong. I don't know that Cruz would do it because I think he wants to stay in the Senate for the most part at this point. So it might be like a Haley Sass or a Haley whatever the other guy is.
Sure.
I suspect that if Trump doesn't run, Nikki Haley is probably the person we put forward.
Do you think, Andrew and the conservatives, do you think they would rather see Trump or they'd rather see Nikki Haley? Well, while you think about that, I don't think Trump is particularly good for the Conservative Party.
He's good because he's the first person who's punched back really, really hard. Like normally we'd get like Mitt Romney's or I just died. McCain's, and it's like they were gentlemen, and it wasn't gentlemanly elections. Like there was stuff where it's like, hey, we can't, like this isn't the politics we're playing anymore.
We should.
It's the politics we should be playing, but it's not the politics we've been playing for before Clinton, maybe.
I would say it was Newt Gingrich in '94, and
so potentially
the reaction to the Clinton '92. Yeah, I don't think it's particularly good. I think conservatives have better ideas, and I think there's genuine debates that are really valuable to have. And while he's grabbing headlines for himself and telling us that it's about us, that the rest of the world is catching up and making huge gains, and 1/3 of the world's population is now under an Asian Pacific trade pact. I heard it announced today, and so that is bad news for us. That is bad news
China,
for us.
India, and who?
A bunch of Japan, South Korea, and those are the heavy hitters. But
they joined with China.
Yes,
that's kind of shocking to me.
It should be, and we should be thinking about that instead of, whatever our silliest arguments are. Because this is a competition.
I don't disagree with that, but and again, it's like, but who would?
But while we were watching Trump grab headlines for 4 years, this is what was going on. This is the pitch that came across the plate, and we were looking in the stands instead of focusing.
But I don't see. Here's the thing. Like, I don't think that was. And this is a point where we'll probably have major contention again. Is I don't think that was necessarily Trump's fault. I think he didn't help. He didn't help. And again, this is like in the Impossible Conversations book. Like, I'm not going to pretend he wasn't a contributing factor, but I would say that a larger contributing factor was a media and we'll call it government apparatus who just hated him so much that they weren't looking other places.
At the end of the day, it's you and me.
Yes.
The name in the headlines, the design of him in the bully pulpit, that we should have been focused on the real thing. So I don't think it's good for the conservatives he runs in 2024, and I don't think it's good for the country that runs in 2024 because it's not about him. America is not about our president. We need to be about our father's business.
I'm trying to think like who would you say would have been? Would you say Biden is good for the Democratic Party? Because he seems like he's just a paper bag for whatever way the wind blows. And Kamala Harris seems like she's super, super progressive. Like detrimentally progressive and kind of power hungry.
Yeah, I all of those things with less of the looking down on Biden and the less of fear of Kamala. I think that I think he's very capable of governance. I was really impressed with him. He could not, like we talked about this previously. He couldn't shut up. He couldn't, like the guy grew up with a stutter. God bless him, he overcame it, and then in 2008 got on stage and just couldn't stop talking, and then actually pulled it back. Actually pulled it back in 2020, and yeah, I think you're right. The Democrats absolutely chose, and I think wisely. He wasn't my first choice, but
I thought all of your candidates were kind of crap. But
what? Surprise.
Well,
I'm surprised to hear
actually,
that.
well, actually, no. Take that back. Tulsi Gabbard, I think, would have been decent and reasonable. Andrew Yang, if his main thing wasn't the universal income, would have been at least a little more interesting.
How do you not win when you're just giving away free money?
Yeah,
But
yes, that is the question. Because he wasn't given enough of a
yeah, maybe it wasn't enough. That was it. But Biden wasn't my first choice. But he was. He's so inoffensive to so many of the
He's not Trump.
He's like in a lot of ways the anti-Trump in that. But he played well with the people that that formed the blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan. Ohio and Pennsylvania, those voters that we could make it work. I was whoever was ahead in the polls in Wisconsin for the Democrats. That's who I was for, because that's the guy who's going to speak to those people. And it doesn't have to be my favorite because I understand that it's a big ball. You just got to be pushing on the same side of the ball. But we're all pushing in our ways, doing our best. But Biden is very capable of governance. I think he will be a nice steady hand after this roller coaster that we've been on since 2016, in my view. And he can run in 2024 if he wants.
He's capable. It's gonna be Kamala Harris, man.
I know. There is something in people's mind about what you want and what you fear, and not you, the university.
Yeah.
That people start to see the things happening that they most want and that they're most afraid of, and part of what we're trying to do here, I think, is like, okay, guys, we know that that's like getting in your feels, but like maybe take a breath and try to look at the thing.
Now, man, just too long. We didn't do it. We tried to land.
We were so
didn't do
close,
it.
guys.
Let's land it.
So close.
So we had a political conversation.
I
feel like we disagreed very heartily.
You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
That
one user who I now found out who you are.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good critique. I'm not going to name him because that's not how the internet works.
But I will tease that. Stay tuned to Friendly Argument. We may have a guest for you.
Oh, we may actually
coming up here pretty soon.
We may have a guest. We may even have two guests. I was going to bring this up after we ended. So anyway, Jeremy Jones. Yeah, Jeremy Jones. We've had a political conversation. We had a heated political conversation.
We did.
I feel like we were friends before. I think we were friends during.
And friends after. Cheers.
I need to be better about
leaving a little
left for the end. Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this. New stuff. All the tangents.
Some politics.
Booze. Some more politics.
Stuff about Kansas.
And lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.